keep the train rolling here as Reckless Speculation Thursday continues, boys.
Oh, yeah.
So Doogie floated some names there, Timberwolves related, on the trade front. And he went so far as saying that the Timberwolves have engaged the Spurs and or vice versa about Dejounte Murray, who's a 25-year-old all-star guard that Zach Lowe on his ESPN NBA podcast threw a hypothetical Timberwolves trade scenario out about. So I want to hit you guys with this right here. This is not sourced or reported. This is just Doogie's stuff is sourced. Doogie is saying they absolutely have talked about Dejounte Murray. Mm-hmm. Zach Lowe is saying, here's an idea. Here's a potential trade idea that I'm going to float out to my podcast audience. Thanks to Canis Hoopus for the summary of this. They went and listened and summed this up. Would you trade D'Angelo Russell and two, let's say, top 3 protected first-round picks for Dejounte Murray? I will just, for those of you who don't watch NBA League Pass, the 5 worst teams in the Western Conference, which the Spurs, I think, were one of them on a regular basis. Murray is 25 years old. He's a former late first-round pick out of the University of Washington. He was an all-star last year for the first time. 21 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists per game, led the NBA in steals per game, and he's under contract for 2 more years at only $17 million per season. So he makes almost half of what D'Angelo Russell makes. Not a great outside shooter, kind of streaky, but once he gets within like 18 to 20 feet, he's excellent. Energizer Bunny type player. So another report came out, I think it was Bleacher Report, and said if the Spurs trade him, it would have to be a Drew Holiday-like package. And the Bucks gave up Eric Bledsoe and George Hill, which let's say those two guys together are D-Lo. And they gave up 2 future first-round picks and then 2 future first-round pick swaps, the option of pick swaps for Drew Holiday. So would you give up D-Lo and 2 future first-round picks and maybe a couple pick swaps for a 25-year-old Dejounte Murray?
There's a couple things at work here, too, because I've seen Murray's name out there now multiple times. So clearly it's being floated in the NBA reckless speculation underground that he's being shopped, right? So like this is not the underground. Like guys make up trades that make sense because they're usually told by a pretty good source, hey, this guy might be being shopped. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to put together a list of what might make sense because I don't have that piece of the reckless speculation puzzle. So one is I would assume that the Spurs are actively looking to potentially make this type of move. Second of all, I would do this trade, and here's why. And it's sort of where the Wiggins trade fell apart a little bit. But at some point in time, and I guess I would trust Conley more about this. At some point in time, you're probably going to be right. If you get an extremely important piece to the puzzle like this, all right, and now you've got Cat, you've got Ant, you've got Murray, you've got a pretty good team. Those first-round picks aren't going to be what we're used to. Like tonight, the Wolves are picking 19th, okay? It's fun to talk about that pick, but it's the 19th pick. It's not a great, and I'm not saying that you can't get a good player, but what I am saying is,
Murray was 29th, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's not an, oh my God, that's going to be a top 10, top 5 type of pick, and now it's not protected because that protection's run out. And the D'Lo thing, I think the Wolves ultimately are going to try, and I don't blame them after the playoffs and sort of the end of the season as well. I don't blame them for trying to move him. So my answer is yes, I would, because I think we all need to start hopefully seeing the Wolves a very different type of team, and one where the first round picks aren't what we became used to for, let's say, a 16 to 20 year period. So yes, I would do it.
Dex, let me go to you first.
Yes, I do this trade 7 days a week, twice on Sundays. I don't know how you wouldn't make this move for a guy like this, who was also a member of the all-defensive team 3 years ago, too. So he provides very valuable defense. Yeah, not like a lights-out three-point shooter, but you just look at his field goal breakdown percentage just on Basketball Reference. I mean, the dude hits most all of his shots between 16 and 20 feet. Good distributor, good defender. D'Lo, I think, has a lot more IQ that makes up for his lapses on defense, and even you saw him when he's just a really good floor general. Like he is a good player, and sometimes we get a little too down on him. But I think Dejounte Murray would be more of the player that the Wolves need at that position. So I would do this in a heartbeat.
We're 3 for 3 here. I would 100% make this trade. His age lines up. He's a little bit younger than Karl Anthony Towns, a little bit younger than D'Lo, so he kind of fits between Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. I like the fact that he's a better defender than D'Angelo Russell. He's a lot less expensive in terms of, to the salary cap than D'Angelo Russell. And I'll loop another one in here too, so we can just have the full scope of Timberwolves trade rumors. Here, let me throw this out, and then I'll come back around to Dejounte Murray. So, on the latest episode of the Bill Simmons podcast, The Ringer's Kevin O'Connor, friend of the show, noted that the Timberwolves like both Rudy Gobert and Clint Capella. Shams of The Athletic and Stadium reported the Timberwolves have discussed deals, we talked about this, involving veteran centers, with Capella specifically cited as an option. So they're clearly sniffing around here some big-time 7-footers who, in fact, Capella and Rudy Gobert are the last 2 rebounding champions in the NBA. They both, 13, 14 rebounds a game. They can block shots. I think what I would worry about, if you're going to make a big splash, and I'm not saying that they're, staring at 2 options right now, and one of them is Dejounte Murray and the other one is Rudy Gobert. I think all of these are long shots, but I would worry in today's NBA about tying up $70+ million into 2 7-footers. This isn't 1998 San Antonio Spurs, late 90s NBA where you just put a couple twin towers out there. Now, it just so happens that one of the Timberwolves twin towers is the greatest shooting 7-footer in NBA history, so that helps.
Right.
But I just think if you're putting all that money into 2 7-footers, and you got Anthony Edwards, who might emerge as one of the best perimeter players. You're going to win a bunch of games, but I just feel like I don't know that you have much of a counter. You have a lot of you have to play those guys. You're not just going to the Warriors are going small, and I guess we're just going to have to sit our $40 million center here for an extra 20 minutes tonight in Rudy Gobert. So I guess what I'm saying is, if I can get a star guard/wing player in Murray, and I have a star Anthony Edwards wing player here, and if I can fix the rim protection rebounding problem with a guy like Doogie threw out the name Nerlens Noel, who makes about $9 million a year, 27 years old, plays 20 minutes a night. You can extend him more if you need to 30 minutes, but if you have to sit him against someone with a small lineup, it's okay. It's not a big deal. He's making $9 million. You don't feel as much pressure to keep him on the court and make it work. So if you can fix that problem with someone else and still clear the way for a guy like Dejounte Murray, and again, all of these are long shots, that would be ideal in my eyes.
So I think it's imperative that the Wolves fix the problem, and I think with a talk about a guy like Capella and Gobert, it's what they're trying to do in some way. They fix the issue of they need to do basically what the Vikings are doing for Kirk, which is maximize Cat. And so they need a big man that they can pair with Cat at times that is a step up from Nas. Because when Nas is good, I think he's good. But when the problem is he can be pretty inconsistent as well, right? And so I think to maximize what Cat can give you offensively as well, because, teams basically had the book on what the Wolves were going to do with Cat last season. I think you need to be able to have him continue to be and be put in a position to be the great shooter that he can be. You need to change things up a bit. So I totally get what Conley and the Wolves are doing, but you're right, Phil. You probably walk a little bit of a salary cap tightrope there as well, not tying up too much in that player who's an upgrade on Nas, but doesn't certainly have to be a star player or more importantly, a player who's making star money.
Yeah, and I'll it's just to zoom out even further, all right, if we're talking about max type players, so Gobert's already a super max player, and Capella makes whatever it is, 30, I think, something like that. I just think you should be pouring that money into versatile guard/wing players if you already have 1 7-footer making super max money. It just becomes really, really hard. What are you going to do with your other? You got Anthony Edwards, but are you just going to patchwork point guard and the 3? Now, you might say, well, Jaden McDaniels is going to come into his own as a 3 too, and so maybe you're going to have 2 great wing players. You have one emerging star wing player, and hopeful that McDaniels can turn into that. So, again, if they traded for Clint Capella tonight, I would say, awesome, let's roll. This is going to be a blast. But in terms of the three names, the big names that are being thrown out there, Rudy Gobert, Clint Capella, and Murray. Give me the 25-year-old who just blasted off last season with the San Antonio Spurs. Why would Greg Popovich want to trade him? It's a legitimate question. He's got 2 years left in his contract, eligible for an extension, I believe. But he traded Kawhi Leonard because they had kind of a weird falling out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Popovich has been hard to predict since the dynasty ended. I don't know. It doesn't make sense why you'd want to trade a guy that you should be building around, but the Spurs have done some things that make you scratch your head anyways the last few years. So,
And how long is Pop going to continue in this job? That's my question.
Pop and Pete Carroll, what are you guys doing?
But like, is Pop just going to do
got your
this
championships
in perpetuity? Is Pop going to, like Duke said, possibly do it one more year and hand the reins to Quinn, and then still? I mean, he could still theoretically be the GM.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's
like the whole
kind of weird.
And you're right. Pete Carroll also falls in that exact same bin because I thought he would probably step down after this past year, and now he's back without Russell Wilson and perhaps Baker Mayfield as his quarterback.
Yeah,
Drew Lock. Put some respect on Drew Lock's name.
No, I guess they really are intrigued by. You know what, Dex? I got bad news for you. The Drew Lock thing's going to fall flat.
Aren't they saying though that they're really interested in Baker Mayfield if he gets cut and they don't have to pay $18 or $19 million? Well, yeah, if he gets cut, then there's going to be 20 teams interested in just having him around as a backup. But the Vikings should be interested if he gets cut. He can play. Sean Mannion can't play.
What are you talking about? Kirk wouldn't like that. You can't do that to Kirk.
Can you imagine those two guys in the quarterback room together?
No, I can flat out tell you one word. No, I can't.
It would be a freaking blast. We're going to get to old tweets exposed here, too, on this Reckless Speculation Thursday. But our friends at Underdog Fantasy have provided us the best and easiest way to get a sweat on games. I'm looking ahead already to the football season, and this is music to my ears as someone who I want to play casual fantasy football. Okay, I don't want to. Sometimes you're busy on the weekend or something, or you sleep in a little bit, you forget to set your lineup or something. So for season-long drafts on Underdog, no waivers, no trades, no lineup setting. You draft a roster, and then Underdog takes the highest scoring players each week and the players who are healthy, and they just make those your starters after the games are over. It's great. No stressing over the day-to-day or week-to-week management. You can be in multiple leagues, obviously. It's a blast. So Underdog Fantasy app, so easy Judd can use it.
I'm back, baby.
You still need to ask Deck on some questions.
I quit fantasy football because of all the things that Phil just talked about that Underdog will now take care of for me. I'm back. I got so sick of managing. You wake up on a Sunday.
Oh, but this guy might play at 3 o'clock, but this guy's for sure going to play at noon.
And
I don't want to deal with it.
A few surlies the night before, and you're like, I don't want. Oh no, it's 11:30. Do I really feel like doing? It's all done now.
Also,
for me.
we were talking about how fun it is, not to play unders. We like to play overs. I'll give you a fun under part of Underdog. Under on golf scores. Under on because you can do pick'ems for the PGA. Hit under on a 71.5 from John Rahm. Oh, yeah. Then you're asking for a golfer to have a good day, and you can still bet the under.
When are they going to put the Live Tour on there? That's what I want to know.
That's a great question, actually. I don't know.
So I can hammer the overs on these clowns. If you use the promo code SKOR, SKOR, Underdog Fantasy will double your first deposit of up to $100. That's $100 in bonus cash for you, and you can help us here grow SKOR North. So thank you, guys. Also, Dex, since we're talking about golf, why don't we talk about your favorite golf course in the state of Minnesota?
Well, that's the Meadows of Mystic Lake, a scenic 18-hole golf experience in Prior Lake, just a little jaunt down 169 from the Metro. And, they offer lessons, they offer tee times, they have a full-service apparel and golf shop as well, because there's nothing worse than when you just, step in to check in for your tee time, and, you maybe need a sleeve of balls. There's only, 2 options, right? Well, that's not the case at the Meadows. You have a full-service shop, even new polos and stuff. I like to wear my Puma, and they have plenty of apparel down there as well. So if you want to book a tee time, you want to book a lesson, or just want to get a new golf fix out, go to the Meadows at Mystic Lake, golfthemeadows.com to learn more, golfthemeadows.com to learn more.
Love it. We'll get to old tweets exposed in a second, but I love the fact that the Timberwolves are just involved in all these potential big name discussions here. I don't know if anything's going to come to fruition. Maybe they just draft a player at 19 and they run it back with D'Lo and they have a bunch of cap space for next year. But no matter what, we're either in for a really exciting summer now or they run it back to some degree and they have $50 to $60 million in cap space next summer. So either way, the Wolves are on the verge of some big roster transformations here, and I'm here for it.
For the first time since Flip was here and took the dual role, I actually also feel like we're dealing with competency from the basketball ops. Like, it feels like...
Gerson kind of knew what he was doing.
Gerson did for sure, but what I'm saying is it turned out that turned into... and look, he did a good job, but it also turned into a problem. What I'm saying is you did not go get a guy who was an assistant to the assistant in Houston or Dallas or Philadelphia
to the regional
or something.
Manager.
Exactly. And Gerson, I give him total credit, gets a good grade. But you went and got a Pobo who you know can do the job, and you're pairing him with a coach who we saw firsthand can do the job. And it feels like we're starting to, dare I say it, knock on wood, feels like we're starting to border on stability at Target Center.
Yeah, definitely knock on that wood again here.
Is that but is that a fair thing to say? It feels like we're bordering on what could be considered real pro sports stability.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it. As long as Glenn Taylor is the owner, there's always something lurking around the corner, and he will be the owner for another 18 months.
That's very true. Now, here's the thing that I do like, though. It feels like very much that the new ownership group is starting to take a lot of control. I said bordering, too. I did not say we are there. I said bordering on it because it's been so long. Instability.
This is just my opinion. I've not heard this. I've not seen this. This is just my opinion. I'm just making a proclamation.
No, I'm just a guy. Look, I'm the biggest pessimist I know. I know you're all shocked to hear that. And so I don't want to be selling. I don't want to be selling hope where hope does not exist. But I'm seeing people give answers, and I'm seeing people make decisions where I'm like, oh, okay, I think I trust you.
Mm-hmm. Actually, no, I want to make an announcement right now. I'm going to tweet this out today. So by the time I tweet this out, people are probably going to have seen it, heard it.
Oh.
When did people start asking us, so you guys have Judd's hockey show. Why don't you have some sort of Timberwolves podcast? You know, little Mackie and Judd spinoff.
Year ago, right?
Probably a year ago, yeah.
It feels like the Wolves stuff does really well, and then fans are like, give us more Wolves stuff. And we've been like, well, we'd love to, but we don't have the infrastructure yet.
Yeah, we have the SKOR North is comprised of exactly 3 full-time employees. You're staring at them. And for much of the last, so we launched SKOR 3 years ago, and for much of the last 2 years, since the pandemic wiped out a bunch of our staff, the audience doesn't really know this, but a large chunk of my role has been sort of in the Hubbard Radio corporate office, so to speak, helping the 8 markets with digital content and stuff. So you guys are full time. You kind of get half of me, and so I'm going to be able to dive much more into SKOR North stuff going forward here, which is awesome, and that frees me up. Maybe you guys hate this. Maybe you want someone else to be talking Timberwolves, but it frees me up to do once or twice a week, starting next week, a Timberwolves podcast with Kyle Taggy, who used to be, he left his perch running the Canis Hoopus Timberwolves blog platform, which is, by the way, that's a huge platform that has spawned, I think, 2 or 3 guys who went on to do like national stuff, and it's a great platform. And so Kyle and I are going to launch a podcast, named to be determined. We're still working through a couple things, but I think I know. I think I can throw this out there. Flagrant Howls is what we're going to call it.
Oh, I love it.
Flagrant Howls, a Minnesota Timberwolves podcast. And you'll be able to find it. We're still working out like the days. We're going to record an episode for sure next Thursday, right before the free agency period, and then we'll do some sort of recap a few days later. But you'll find it on the Mackie and Judd podcast feed. We'll launch a separate podcast feed as well, just like Judd's Hockey Show and the SKOR North YouTube channel. So looking forward to it. Kyle is a Wolves super fan. We bring some similar but also really different perspectives on this team. And so if you guys have thoughts and ideas on what you want us to talk about or just like things you want us to hit on, definitely send us some notes. We're pumped for it. Mm-hmm. Let's get it. And you're welcome to come on too once in a while, Judd, and spew your takes and stuff. You know, the door is open.
Save them for the show.
Okay.
For the flagship.
I mean, there was a hockey whisperer. We can get a basketball general or something. The whisperer,
before he left us and went to Maui, never appeared, I don't believe, on Just
He's in the Galapagos Islands.
He's not coming back.
Yeah. Found a piece of the whisper and
Yeah.
So yeah, we're pumped for it. We're finally going to launch a little Wolves thing here off Mackie and Judd. So, all right, every single week, Declan goes into the Twitter archives and he finds incriminating tweets that we may have sent out at any point in the last 13 years. It's called Old Tweets Exposed here on Mackie and Judd.
All right, so Tuesday we did a pecking order of Twins reclamation projects. So I figured, let me take a name and let's see what we can find here.
Oh, God.
So we don't have to go back too far. Let's go with a little Old Tweets Exposed revolving Homer Bailey. So let's start with Phil here.
yes.
Just loving the pandemic baseball season. On July 28th, 2020, Homer Bailey hung that split change, but still got the swing and miss. Nasty pitch. Pretty much the key to him being a viable starter in 2020. You were buying the split change that Homer Bailey was ducking out there for, 4 innings all of 2020, I believe?
Okay, was I saying that he is a viable starter, or that this is the key pitch if he is to be a viable starter? I think I'm trying to interpret my own tweet here. I guess if I'm calling him a viable starter in 2020, it's pretty incriminating. But listen, if he throws that split change effectively, then he could be. But he got hurt. His story is still unwritten. Okay.
Okay, Natasha Bedingfield, I got you. I don't think that's the case. I don't think so.
Feel the rain on your.
Judd, do you know Natasha Bennett? Do you know that song?
No.
The rest is still unwritten, Judd.
Oh, that's a great.
The rest is still
We
unwritten.
Fun fact, we used to pregame to that song in college. It was on the pregame playlist. Yes, just a bunch of dudes just singing Natasha Bedingfield before hitting the bars in St. Cloud. It was it was on the pregame.
I'm pretty sure that song, I'm going to incriminate myself here again. What was the Laguna Beach had a couple spin-off shows on MTV.
Oh, was it the Hills?
Was it it was either the Hills or the LC spin-off.
Yeah.
And I think that was the theme song for one of those shows.
Yeah.
Like 15 years ago.
I think it was the Hills.
Wow.
Big Lauren Conrad fan. I liked LC.
This segment is spiraling. And that's without the tweets.
We should have Judd review one episode of the Hills. I would honestly be here for it.
Don watched it.
Yeah.
I saw it a few times.
They brought it back a couple years
did.
ago.
Yeah.
Bunch of 40-year-olds running around.
I was going to say
plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Anyhow, okay.
All right, Judley. Not too far after Phil's tweet.
Yeah.
Interesting little concept here from Judd. August 1st, 2020. The Twins' new starting pitcher acquisitions continue to impress. Maeda, 1 hit through 6 innings, retired 11 in a row at one point and has retired the past 5 in a row. Maeda, Bailey, and Hill have given up 4 runs and 11 hits in 21 combined innings thus far.
So
the
impressive.
New starting pitching acquisitions continue.
You know what I miss?
Impress.
I miss Rich Hill. I love that guy. Although I do think that I heard an F-bomb from the mound last night. I'm pretty sure I heard a few
Sonny?
F-bombs from the mound from Sonny last night, which reminded me of Rich and how much I miss Rich Hill.
Sonny's a grunter. I could hear Sonny 20 rows up the third baseline.
And I think I heard an F. I think he dropped an F-bomb when he missed on a pitch in like the 4th.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Or during that, he got into the 5th, right? He just didn't get it out in the 5th.
Yeah.
He didn't seem very pleased about getting pulled from that game, but
No, he did
But
not.
he didn't have his. I mean,
yeah, I don't know what you're supposed to do.
He didn't
there.
have his stuff.
Guy's getting rocked. Yeah.
Anyway,
protect the
that's
lead.
bad.
All
I'll
right,
take a
so
hit for mine.
mine, little backstory here. So it's a Homer Bailey tweet, but from 4 or 5 years ago. And this is classic Declan example of seeing a trade or seeing news and not doing any research and then immediately backpedaling the tweet in a reply. So just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. Okay. December 21st, 2018, Homer Bailey turning his career around with the Dodgers is going to be such a Dodgers thing to happen. Scroll. Appears he'll get released, but interesting move by LA.
Oh, such an interesting move.
Interesting
there.
move.
Real
Such an interesting move.
It's okay.
Such an interesting move.
So wait, so that was December 21st. Were they both on the same date? Did you say?
Yeah, so 3:49
Okay.
p.m. I don't know what the time is on this, but I clearly immediately backpedaled my thought of he's gonna turn around. Oh wait, never mind. He's actually just absorbing the salary, and he's not gonna pitch for them.
Oh man, I almost feel like they're all kind of equal here. We all kind of showed a little belief in Homer Bailey, and then we were slapped in the face by the reality that he's not a very good pitcher. So maybe this is a 3-way tie of Homer Bailey optimism.
I'm certainly not proud of mine.
Congrats.
You know,
Congrats,
Rich Hill,
everyone.
Homer Bailey, yay!
Rich Hill wasn't terrible that season, right? He was fairly effective.
But he was out. But he also got hurt, shockingly a few times, right?
Yeah. Poor guy. All right. Well, that's a wrap on Reckless Speculation Thursday here on Mackie and Judd.
Reckless Speculation.
For those of you who enjoy the lifestyle. Yes. So there's a couple wild things out there, too. You guys doing a little Judd's hockey show?
We're going to do a JHS tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. There are things let's just say this. There are certain things gaining steam in the National Hockey League as free agency and more. And the draft is like, what, Dex, in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And there will be trades. In fact, I think Fiala's going to get moved at the draft. So there's a lot to talk about.
Things are percolating, as Bob Lee would say.
A lot of reckless speculation.
On
Fleury, Fiala, all the Fs. We can talk about all the Fs.
Reckless Speculation.
And over on Purple Daily, Judd's countdown of the top 25 Vikings of all time continues as we walk our way into the top 10 today. So check that out. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Action movie rewind this week, Twister.
Watch this afternoon.
I watched that on a plane, which is a little bit of an interesting experience when you have turbulence and twisters. And
that's not a good idea.
The guy next to me, I don't know if he was watching my screen, but he was definitely having a panic attack during some of the turbulence. Like clutching the seats and eyes closed. Wife was like holding his hand and stuff. And I'm not making fun of him because, it can be traumatizing, but I don't think Twister being on within eye range
so
of him
you
was
were
helping
basically
the fact.
making it worse.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, there's a cow flying by. That's crazy.
Yeah. All right.
See you guys tomorrow.